How's it going, XRP community? I have an awesome, fun, great, super cool TA video for y'all here right now in regards to XRP. As many of you have probably noticed, if you've looked at the price in the last hour or so, the price is going crazy right now. Wow, we're up almost 6%, right? As if only we hadn't had our nearly 10+% dump just prior to this, so that, this is kind of us just playing catch up and middling out, right? But, a little bit of fudding there aside, a little bit of realism there aside, let's have a look at what's going on here in the price and see if we can come to any conclusion about what this most recent move means for our imminent future, right? So first, we're going to expand out here to the daily. We're going to look at just how big this move was. Alright, so here is the coolest thing ever, right? Look at this. Look at this, right? So, the price really dipped down to that 36 line, right? It really didn't, though. It really didn't. Oops, we didn't get that. But, as I said, that's just the possibility that we could have seen. Anybody that wanted to play that, I hope I was very clear, but I feel I was very clear when I said that it's only a possibility for the price to come back down into this range to really try and test off the 50-day, but it seems as though the price has no interest in the 200-day, sorry, this orange line down here. 200-day moving average as it is. But as you see, we didn't even get the price to actually come down and test off of our 50-day before it was like, nah, dude, not going near it. Just not happening. I see moons in my future, not hell, right? So that's really what this is saying on a daily chart right now. This is so encouraging to me, honestly, to see the price reject so harshly, so firmly from this range. This is good. This is really good if you're bullish, right? So I'm going to be a little more in favor of bull moves today and in the future than I was yesterday when I was saying we need to see the price continuing to test this range and push back through. Now, obviously, it broke this downward, this rising wedge that I called yesterday. I said, if we test down around here, then we should see the price come up and break through up here. And I had this trend line set. I was like, maybe it'll break within the next 4 to 8 hours. What ended up happening, it got to that, it capped out there, and we saw the bears try to take control. But as soon as they managed to get the price to this previous ascending support trend here, right? This more modest support line. It broke just below it, but then was pushed right back up and wasn't allowed back through again, right? So we can move that trend line down, but the reality is that seems to be right where we want that trend line to sit, and that's a trend line now that I'm going to make a little bit darker so that in future charts we know that that's a pretty critical level for us, right? And in fact, just so that we are very aware that it's critical, we're going to paint that red. And the reason why is because after a big pump like this, if we see the price actually pass below this line again, it doesn't matter if it happens up here, like way in the future, like over here, or even really soon it comes back down through here. If we test this again, there's a very strong chance that we will fall through it, right? So we want to see the price now float above this, and we really want to see it start to do what I created here, where we are trying to find a place where maybe the trend is starting to pick up. Maybe the price is going to move in a more aggressive, bullish way, right? Maybe we can see that start to curve back up. But for now, it seems like really it's still kind of flat, right? Because we did have this low that has flattened our trend a little bit here. But ultimately, this pump, this is good. This is really good to see this price come back up above the 0.5, right? It didn't just, when it broke back up out of this range down here, out of the yellow trading range, which is below the the 0382, I believe, is the actual Fibonacci range. When we broke back above it, we didn't stop. We went all the way back above the 50, and that's really good because that broke our downward trend, right? So if you look, we had our dump back on the 3rd, and that dump was, when it happened, I said, hey, we have this big wick here. There's a very strong chance that we're going to see the price consolidate, and it could move up, but we could also see a dump down into this range. And that's when I brought up the importance of the 38, but also, like I said back then, when we had actually just touched off the 39, I said, that's a good place to test, but I was expecting it to do what it does when it has one of these where the price tries to come back and really fill in where it created a wick. That's exactly what we saw it do, right? The price came in and filled in bars through that wick area. It dropped a little bit lower, but like I had said before, there's a really good possibility that it does that it just tries to come down as low into this previous resistance line as possible to really build support on what was resistance. And that's what we're seeing here. And I think that's why we're now seeing this continuation even as I speak, right? So this is really, really bullish. Really, this could keep going, right? Because we, on the daily, if we zoom back out, and I know this is getting long, but I really want to give you all everything that I'm seeing in this TA, just because this is kind of a big deal, right? It's kind of a big deal that we're now breaking back into this range, and so quickly too, right? While I have been saying that I expected to see something along this lines, I've also been advising caution in the fact that, we don't know when this is really going to go from playing bullish to being bullish, right? And what I mean by that is when we play bullish, it means that we're trading in a bull pattern, right? The pattern that we see here is a traditional bullish indicator of continuation into a new higher price range. And so when we stop playing bullish and actually act bullish, we're going to see the price really move. And my belief is, and I'll start actually talking about this, that our next price range that we really want to see the price move to is $1. And we want it to be closer to $1 than closer to 85 cents. We really want to break that dollar range because that would indicate, to me at least, that not only are we looking to trade in a new range, but we're looking to build support on top of what was previously resistance, right? So if you see, way back here in April of 2018, this 90-cent range, this 80 to 90-cent range, became resistance. And so what we really want to see is the price come up, hit that, maybe resist a little bit from the 80-cent, but then push right through it up into the $some-cent range, and then start to do a retrace, right? We want to, ideally, I'd like to see the initial run actually take us up to somewhere around $1.50, maybe even $2, so that when we correct below this, when we correct below the 80-cent mark, we can avoid breaking below the 75-cent retracement for any considerable amount of time. And the reason I say that is because, again, I want to see the price, when it breaks up, find a support range akin to what had in the past been a resistance, because that to me is one of the strongest indicators that you are going to see continuation in whichever direction you are, is when what was resistance or what was support flips into becoming the opposite during whatever price movement you're seeing in the moment, right? So in addition to this, we are also seeing the buy volume steadily increase. Sell volume is now seemingly at its bottom, and even after this heavy capitulation, the sell volume that we have seen over the last 2 days, or back on the 3rd and 4th, was not at all comparable to the sell volume we saw on May 29th and 30th, which perhaps the irony in that is that the sell-off back here that had more volume actually had less of an impact on the price than this smaller volume sell-off, which to me is indicative that it was whales selling more so in this than actual the masses, right? And this means to me that it was an attempt by the whales to spook you, a small investor, out. And it by and large didn't work, right? Because the volume didn't blow up like it did in this sell-off here on the 30th. And so that, I believe, is why we're now seeing volume at ranges we haven't seen really since this sell-off began, right? We had a green candle on the 31st that was a little bit better than what we saw yesterday's buy volume or today thus far, but keep in mind, we still have several hours left in this candle for this to continue. I believe it's this is the 17th hour, so we have another 7 hours basically in this formation before this daily candle closes, and we see really how much buy volume comes out of this. I really wouldn't be surprised if this actually breaks beyond here and really competes as far as volume with the volume that we saw in the 4th, only instead of it being mostly sell volume, we can expect it to be mostly buy volume, right? Now, again, these are just my desires for what I hope to see. Let me try and see if I can find you a bearish scenario, a reversal scenario, right? Because obviously I've just spent however long now presenting you the fact that things look very bullish, right? But I want to, as always, be the realist who says, hey, even when things look good, things can still turn around in a heartbeat, because this is a nascent, emergent market. And so, just so for peace of mind, I want all my viewers to know that, hey, there's a very good chance that what we're at right now, we're just going to see it come back down to 40 cents, right? To the 46, maybe even like straight up, just straight 40 cents. It might test this green, this 0.5, the 0.5 on the fib once more. And what I will be looking for in that correction that is almost certain to come, really, the short term, we really should see a short term return to median and then a continuation. But it could just continue. But my view is that, you know, we've seen the price be very stable around 40, and so I'm expecting us to at least try touching 40 cents once more before we see the price return back into the 44-45 cent range, perhaps, right? Now, if we see the price break down below the 0.5 here on the fib, that could be bearish. That could mean that the price is just, you know, it's going to come back down into this range, and it's really just going to trade flat around here. Now, on Bitstamp is at basically 39 cents, right? So there could be a whole extra penny drop if we break the 40 cent range here. But at the same time, as you see where that line is, that's not as low as we dropped back on the 4th. It's basically just as low as we were earlier today, really. So, even though I am projecting for you something bearish, you just keep in mind that at present, I feel that the reward is far more worth the risk, at least in the short term that we see here. And as always, I want to leave everybody with, since I just gave you the more bearish outlook, keep in mind that June 10th is right around the corner, and June 10th we have many fundamental drivers that really could drive the price up into the atmosphere, into ranges that we haven't seen in over a year. And though that is hypey, I just want people to realize that fundamentals are important with price. It is critically important, and most people in TA don't take fundamentals into consideration when looking at price. And that's why I, here on the Martian Report, cover both technical and fundamental indicators, so that I can try and provide you a more, not just rational, but large picture view of what is potential to come in our investment future, right? So, as always, this has been Jade Martian. I hope you've enjoyed my content. If you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe. If you've enjoyed my content in this video, hit that like button. And if you want to hear more from me, make sure to ring that bell so that you can always be up to date with all content I release. You've been watching The Martian Report, and as always, I can't wait to see you on Mars.